Good morning and welcome to Vancouver. For the last time, it is finally the day that we're going to depart, leaving Canada behind and venture into the United States for the next leg of the trip. The first pit stop we're going to do today is the North Cascade National Park, and after that we're going to Seattle. After Washington we're going to Oregon. Welcome to Crater Lake, California. Just look at this view. Nevada. Good morning and welcome to the Red Rock Canyon here in Nevada. And New Mexico before we venture into Mexico. So make sure you stick around because we've got an amazing itinerary for the United States. First things first, up to the border, which is an 8-minute drive from White Rock where we are right now. And then up and away to North Cascade Park, and we will see you there. USA, here we come! North Cascades National Park is a wild mountain landscape in northern Washington. Known as the American Alps, it features rugged peaks, glaciers, turquoise lakes and dense forest. More than 300 glaciers shape this stunning wilderness, while rivers and waterfalls flow through the valleys below. The park is home to bears, wolves and hundreds of bird species, making it one of the most beautiful and untouched places in the Pacific Northwest. Now, one thing to keep in mind when you plan trips like this is the season you're driving in. For example, and as you've already seen, right now it's winter. More specifically, we're in March. That means that sometimes places are closed, attractions and tours are closed, visitor center and the toilets on the road are closed, but also sometimes places and roads are closed. So keep that in mind and make sure you plan ahead accordingly. Now North Cascade National Park is mainly a drive through. There's places like this where you can just enjoy the views and the views along the way, and of course hiking trails along the way. So we're not really all that depending on the weather, besides the fact that it's a little bit cold. Other than that, views are there enough, cascades are there enough, so there's plenty to do and see here all year round and enjoy the beautiful nature. Cascades and waterfalls are numerous and powerful here, and often close at hand. The combination of climate and steep terrain intensifies the force of running water. These mountains are young and still rising, and storms of the nearby Pacific produce heavy precipitation. Even in hot and dry months, waterfalls maintain their flow. One of the perks of snow, you get to play with it and you get to write these messages. This one is for you. However, I made one little mistake. If you see the mistake, let me know in the comments. And it really has a magical kind of feeling to see the snow from the inside of a heated camper van. And that is the end of the road for us. As I mentioned before, some of the roads are closed during the winter. So we turn around, head back to the entrance and up and away to our next destination, Olympic National Park. And we will see you there. Due to driving distance and logistics of our itinerary, we will first make a stop in Seattle. But that's a video for next week, so make sure to stay tuned. Another day, another adventure. Welcome to the Olympic National Park here at the Olympic Peninsula. Now, just like the previous national park, it's a very large park, so we're going to be driving around the peninsula, making various pit stops along the way. Of course, it's always recommended to come to your local visitor center to see all the things that are to do here and make your own itinerary. Plus, there's a large display and information about the local flora and fauna here in Olympic National Park. Now, we got some cool places on our itinerary for today, so without further ado, let's hop in the car and let's get cracking. Now, there's one thing I do want to mention before anything else. If you're going to come down to the United States with the intention of visiting a variety of national parks, they have a pass. It's called America the Beautiful. It really is worth your money because it's not just the entry for you, your vehicle and your passengers, but also parking. So you're really going to save a lot of money with that. And of course, saving a lot of money gives you the availability to purchase one of our memberships. That way you are not only supporting our journey, you also become a part of our journey, and of course you receive a lot of perks like early bird access to our videos and also access to our entire video library. Make sure to press the join button underneath your screen and see which membership pack is suitable for you. And we'll see you on the other side. At 1600 meters, Hurricane Ridge offers sweeping views over the snow-capped Olympic Mountains. In the winter, it becomes a small ski area, while the summer brings wildflower meadows and hiking trails. Welcome to Hurricane Ridge, our first highlight of this trip, with the emphasis on high because it takes about 30 to 40 minutes driving all the way up to this place for this spectacular view, and it's really well worth your time. There's also a couple of hiking trails here you can do, or just enjoy the view and nature. Up to your own leisure. And one thing I haven't done since I was a little kid is sliding. I didn't bring my sled, but I do have a flat ass, so woohoo! That was fun actually. And although you might really see it all that well, right over there in the far distance is Victoria on Vancouver Island, where we were about a month ago. So I think that's pretty cool. Lake Crescent is a glacial lake plunging 190 meters. Trails around the lake lead to hidden waterfalls and quiet forest. Rialto Beach is a rugged, untamed coastal destination on the Pacific coast. Famous for its dramatic sea stacks, giant driftwood logs, and the beach's signature hike, which takes you along the coast to the hole in the wall. A magnificent natural rock arc carved by the ocean. The hike and the arc area are only safely accessible and explorable during low tide. During low tide, the descending waters around the sea stacks and rocky outcrops uncover spectacular, vibrant tide pools. You can expect to see an abundance of marine life, including colorful sea stars, sea anemones, and mussels. So there's two things I'd like to mention. First of all, the distance between all these locations are bigger than it might seem. So you might want to plan ahead before time to make sure that you fit everything in your day and you know where you can camp at the end of your day. And with that being said, it's a minimum 2 days to actually drive around this entire place. Second thing I want to mention is that you also look in the season you're traveling, because for example right now it's March, it's still winter time and some roads are closed. For example, the Beautifull Falls is a place we unfortunately couldn't visit today. So if you come in the winter or any time of season, make sure to check if the places that you want to visit are open to avoid disappointments. The whole rainforest is one of the few temperate rainforests on Earth, receiving 3.5 to 4 meters of rain each year. On the Hall of Mosses Trail, ancient trees are draped in thick moss, creating a magical, otherworldly glow. Beach logs are the bones of a rainforest picked clean by the sea. They begin in river valleys. When a day's downpour adds to glacial melt, the stream may rise 6 feet, undermining the bank and toppling trees into the flood, washing them down to the river mouth and beach. Lake Quinalt lies at the edge of the rainforest, surrounded by towering spruces and cedars. The lake invites visitors to kayak, fish or stroll along its peaceful shoreline. A very good morning, another day, another adventure. Welcome to Mount Rainier National Park. First of all, yesterday we boondocked a little bit outside the park. There are a lot of outlets where you can just park and camp for the night. No problem, no payment. Another thing I want to mention is wintertime is also legally required, or at least I saw this on the internet, to have snow chains to go all the way up to Paradise, because you're going all the way up the mountain. We don't have snow tires, so there is a slight chance that once we get to there, we will be sent back, and that will be a little bit of disappointment, but not the end of the world. Because in the end of the day, all we want to see is Mount Rainier. And that's another tip. If you're going to make this route, whenever you see Mount Rainier, stop your car, take your pictures, because it can get cloudy, just like that, and then you miss the view. Pun intended. The entry cost for the park is $30, but thanks to this beautiful America the Beautiful pass, we got our entry and our parkings for free. So thank you very much, Tracy from White Rock. And one more national park and we got our money back. And as we're Dutch, we really like that. It's really cold. As you can see over there, you understand why. So without further ado, I'm gonna get back in the car, back with my coffee, back with the heater, and let's see some spectacular views.
I love it, 'cause I know it. I love it, yeah, 'cause I know it, yeah. I love it.
Welcome to Longmire, our first pit stop in Mount Rainier National Park. Here in Longmire, you can find the Visitors Information Center. There's also a display of local wildlife. There is a campground. There are some historical buildings. And today, there's also a shortage of staff. For which reason, the road into the park is closed. Meaning that we can continue and go anywhere today. So that's kind of a downer. I can't say I'm not disappointed, but then again, you also have to check the website before you come here to see if anything is closed. Of course, we're here on a trip. It's not like we're here for the entire week. So this is our day. Luckily for us, there are several hiking trails you can start from Longmire, and they have viewpoints. So there is still a slight chance that we are going to see Mount Rainier. In the end of the day, that's where we came for. So happy faces, and let's hike because it's really cold. So I can do with some movement. And this just sucks.
'Cause I know it, yeah. Passion.
Snow. The Rampart Ridge Loop Trail runs about 7.4 kilometers and climbs over 400 meters across an ancient lava flow.
I'm holding on her body.
Along the way, you pass the dense forest and enjoy the sweeping views over the river valley. On clear days, Mount Rainier itself dominates the horizon, cloaked in glaciers.
Flowers. If you want me, then you get
And don't forget to subscribe, like and comment.
I love it. 'Cause I know it. I love it.
I think this is pretty interesting. About 370,000 years ago, Mount Rainier, which is a volcano, erupted. Now there were two glaciers here, the Couch Glacier and the Nisqually Glacier. And those two glaciers actually connected at some point. So while the lava was coming down the mountain, it hit a really big ice wall. And there, the lava stopped flowing and eventually cooled down. Now over the years, both glaciers actually retreated. And the only thing that's left is this big wall of lava, which you can see right behind me. Now if I didn't tell you that that's just cooled lava, I think you wouldn't have guessed.
One that only your eyes could see.
Come here. I want to show you something. And let's see what you make of it. So there's a little, I don't know what this is, but there's water coming out and there's air coming out. If you know what this is, comment down below, because I don't. This is where you can really see we're in a volcanic area. The bubbles there, and it also smells a little bit like sulfur. Fascinating. Nature is just fascinating. Welcome at Mount Rainier, is what I thought I was going to say by reaching this viewpoint. As you can see, it's a stunning view, but it's not Mount Rainier. So far, no luck. And it has been a very steep tiresome, long and cold hike to get here. Now I want to venture a little further to make sure we're going to get to see Mount Rainier if we're lucky. That being said, I also came up with a great title for this video. Washington State, 2.5 national parks. Because of the winter, of course, a lot of these roads were closed and we only got to see half of these parks. Now, that being said, it was still well worth our time coming down here because these parks are absolutely amazing, even in the winter. And I must say, the snow does add to a little bit of magical feel to it. However, of course, in the summer, you're gonna get more for your buck, but that's each their own leisure. For us, I'm gonna take a break because I'm really tired, and then we're gonna venture through the snow and see if we're lucky and get to see at least some of Mount Rainier. So, see you in the next scene. Ciao for now. Let's try that again. Welcome to Mount Rainier. A little bit past the official viewpoint is the actual viewpoint. There is Mount Rainier where we came for. Now, of course, as you can see, it's still a bit misty. So we're gonna see if we can get a better view, but just in case we don't, we're gonna take as it is. And with that being said, this marks the end of our Mount Rainier National Park. We're gonna head back down to the car. It also marks the end of our stay here in Washington State. And even though I really enjoyed the snow, because I haven't seen it in years, I think I've seen enough for the rest of this trip, or at least until we get down to South Argentina. So for us, it's really time to go down to California and look up some beaches. But before we do that, we do have a couple of pit stops in Oregon and of course in San Francisco, where we have the most exciting itinerary waiting for you. So make sure to stick around. Of course, that adventure is for our next video. So like, subscribe, make sure you don't miss out, hit the notification bell, and if you want to become a part of this trip and support our travels, make sure to hit the join button and become a member. Thank you very much, and we'll see you on the next adventure. Hopefully without the snow. Ciao for now. And although we didn't get to see much of Mount Rainier or the park itself, we did thoroughly enjoy hiking through the snow. And just about 20 minutes outside the park itself, we actually got to see what we came for. So, enjoy the views and we'll see you on our next adventure.